Welcome to Investors Guide. You're watching ET Now. Remember, this is the show that will help you find all of the perfect investment products in the market by looking at what suits your needs best. You can write to us. There's an email ID at the bottom of your screen right now where you can send in any question you have about your money. Before we go any further, a couple of things I must remind you about. We have a new show on ET Now, brought to you by the same team that puts together Investors Guide. This is a show on investing in property. The Property Guide airs on the channel at these times. And of course, some of the timings of Investors Guide have changed as well. These are the new timings of the show. The same team bringing it to you for the last 4 years continues to bring you Investors Guide. On the show this week, we'll help a 28-year-old support his family, pay for his MBA, and save for the future. Can you do all of that at once? In our product review, we look at the Franklin India Flexi Cap Fund, and we'll tell you how to improve your credit score and resolve inaccuracy. Alright, it's time for me to bring in Kumar, the CEO of Value Research and our in-house mutual fund expert who joins us every week. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get straight to our portfolio question. Well, Varun Singh is written in from Mumbai, He's a very young man. He's currently still in his MBA college. He's getting a master's degree, but he gets a monthly stipend of 10,000 rupees. He tells us starting May next year, his stipend will go up to 50,000 rupees. And after October, which is exactly another year's time, he hopes to get placed and to make about 90,000 rupees a year. Now, currently, he has parents who depend on him. He has an education loan of 4.5 lakh rupees, for which he's going to have to start paying an EMI of 9,000 rupees once his course is done. And his only investment is a ULIP plan, for which he's put already about 1.2 lakh rupees so far. He wants to know how he can start investing, and it's very interesting that he's thinking about it so early. He tells us right now he'll put aside 2,000 rupees from his stipend, and he'll keep increasing that money as he goes forward. Now, he has told us that he's used a personal loan instead of an education loan. He hasn't really told us why he's used a personal loan, but that tends to be a lot more expensive than an education loan. Would you like him to relook at his debt before he goes any further?
First and foremost, because of his dependent parents and his need to support them, he should certainly plan his term insurance. That should be the priority. Create that emergency fund quickly. So he should not think in terms of saving, making an investment into any fund or anything, but he should just start his recurring deposit, and he should build it up to a point that it becomes a reasonable emergency fund. And that emergency fund should get larger, because if next year he plans to get married, I don't think there is any other investment. His accumulation should be into a fixed income and a simpler thing which he can access anytime.
Alright, Varun, it's of paramount importance that the first thing you do is get yourself a term cover. And when we're talking about insurance, he has that money put aside in his ULIP. Now, what would you like him to do? If he pulls that money out right now, can he use it to knock off a portion of his loan, or perhaps start allocating it towards some of his goals?
Yes, I would say that, he can pull that money out, and before pulling that money out, he must get the term insurance. And term insurance will cost him much lower and a higher coverage. That part, the remaining money can work as his emergency plan, his emergency fund. And then I think, all the saving that he has right now, that he can start investing. Given this backdrop, I think the plan can change a bit. He can start, conservatively investing. That can well go into a balanced fund.
Could you give him a balanced fund that he can use right now?
You can well consider the ICICI Prudential Balanced Fund or the Reliance Balanced Fund.
Alright, Varun, on your screen right now are two balanced funds that Kumar recommends for you. Prioritize it that way. Make sure you have insurance. Make sure you bring down your loan amount. And like recommended, then you can start investing in a balanced fund, and you can use the money that comes out of that ULIP to allocate to all of these goals. Right, back to us if you need any more help. Let's take another question from another young viewer. 26-year-old Prasanjit has written in. He tells us he can invest 10,000 rupees every month for the next 25 years. He wants to know which mutual fund he should invest in to get long-term returns. He wants to create a corpus for his retirement, for his children's education. He's young right now, and I love it when viewers write in saying they have 25 years on their hands. And I assume that amount of 10,000 rupees will also increase as he gets older. Where would you like him to invest his money, Dhirendra?
He should consider one of the two, growth portfolios, either aggressive growth or the growth portfolio. And, most importantly, he should stick to the plan, keep investing, and keep watching this program as and when we review it, make those changes as well.
Alright, so on your screen right now is our growth portfolio. Like Dhirendra said, we've been tracking this portfolio for you for the last 4 years. So stay with the show and we will tell you if there's a need to make a change. In the meantime, you can just follow the portfolio as it is. Right back to us if you need any more help. Our next question comes in from a woman investor. Samana has written in, Dhirendra, she says she'll receive a lump sum amount of 20 lakh rupees from her Provident Fund and she wants to know where she can invest this money to receive a monthly income of 20,000 rupees and save tax. So for someone who has a lump sum and wants a monthly income, Dhirendra, what would you recommend she does?
Generating 20,000 rupees from 20 lakh rupee investment and that to post-tax and in a manner that it is tax efficient is not easy. And that too if you are going to depend on this income month after month. I would suggest that, combine the two. Invest a part of your money into senior citizen savings scheme. That will earn you 9% taxable. And if that's the only income, you will be below the threshold of, the taxable income. And the rest of the money you should certainly, 30-35% of your money should be invested into equity. Maybe in a balanced fund so that you don't get anxious as and when, markets turn very volatile. And the return from that balanced fund over a longer period of time will be tax-free. That apart, I'm hopeful that it will be adequate enough to replenish the worth of your, protect the worth of your capital. 12% return per annum drawn on a monthly basis looks difficult.
Alright, so remember, if you have a question for Dhirendra, write to us. The email ID is at the bottom of your screen. And if there's something you'd like to ask us about, what you've heard so far, get in touch with us. Coming up after the break, Dhirendra is going to stay with us and we'll review the Franklin India Flexi Cap Fund. We'll find out if you should be adding it to your portfolios right now. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Investors Guide and ET Now. It's time for our product review. Dhirendra Kumar is still with us in our Delhi studio. Then we bring in Avan to give us a quick introduction into the Franklin India Flexi Cap Fund. And then we'll come back and ask Dhirendra if this is a fund we should be investing in. Avan.
Thanks for that, Faye. Well, the Franklin India Flexi Cap Fund is an open-ended, diversified equity fund which allocates up to 70% of its assets to large cap stocks and 20% to mid and small cap stocks. The fund manager tries to identify companies with strong business models, competitive advantages, and quality management. The stock picking is fairly valuation conscious and avoids areas of the market that may be richly valued. The fund manager's conviction often results in concentrated bets that are sometimes out of favor or even beaten down. Known for its consistent performance over the years, the fund has managed to beat its category average regularly, but it has let several other funds overtake it. It now languishes as an average performer in its category. But the fund's performance over the last year has been very mediocre and it's fallen in rank to the 34th position amongst its category average. Let's bring in some numbers to give you a better perspective. If you invested 1,000 rupees in this fund when it launched, you would have 3,347 rupees today. Due to its low performance in the last year, is it time for you to book your profits? Our experts are here to give you the answer. With that, it's back to you, Faye.
With the name of Franklin India Flexi Cap Fund, the last time we talked about it on the show, you gave it 4 stars. On your website currently, it's at 3 stars. Now, it has a very strong track record for the long term, but I want to know how you would rate its performance over the last 1 odd year of volatility in the market. Do you think it's managed to hold its head above water?
No, this fund has been disappointing relative to, this fund has always been a very well-managed fund, very well diversified, and I would not attribute much of a, I would not be driven by the relative underperformance over the last 6-8 months. But yes, last year was a disappointing one. It's almost like a prima plus. It's a large and mid-cap fund, and that is how it gets classified as well. So based on overall performance, I would say that it has become a very well-settled average. a fairly mediocre fund. It does not take risk, and it does reasonably okay. And the number of alternatives, the options that investors have in this category, this does not stand against them. Investors have plenty of impressive options to choose from than this fund.
But if there are investors right now who are watching who've invested in this fund, and you tell us there are so many better options right now, could you give us a few alternate investments that we can move our money into right now?
I would say ICICI Prudential Dynamic. I would say Quantum Long-Term Equity. Even Franklin Prima Plus looks like a superior choice than Flexi Cap Fund.
On your screen right now are alternate investments for those of you who are already in the Flexi Cap Fund. Then finally, give us your rating of the Flexi Cap Fund. Where would you place it?
I would say that I would give it a 3-star, very much as much as our risk-adjusted rating. Also, it's primarily because of the options available.
3 stars for the Franklin India Flexi Cap Fund. It's been downgraded from the 4 stars it received on the show the last time we reviewed it. Narendra there saying that there are better options for you if you've invested in this fund or if you're considering investing in the fund. Those options, I'm going to put them back on your screen right now. These are better options if you're looking at Flexi Cap or multi-cap funds right now. It's time to look at our hold or sell segment. Well, Shamik Sharma has written in Narendra. He's 33 years old. He began investing in mutual funds in 2006, and he tells us in an attempt to save tax and keep putting away money, he now has a portfolio that has 15 funds. He's heard advice on this show that says you shouldn't have more than 5 or 6 funds in your portfolio, and he wants to know what he can do to bring the number of funds in his portfolio down. Now, before we get into talking about the funds in his portfolio, I want to ask you first the list of questions that he sent in that are very important. He's worried about the way the market is functioning. So he's asking you, is this the right time to streamline his portfolio and withdraw money from his existing funds? Should he be waiting for a little longer? And should he be phasing out that withdrawal perhaps? Is that a better way to do it? So for all of our viewers who are watching right now, who are asking themselves the same question, is this the time to pull money out of a fund, even if it's for a good cause like streamlining your portfolio? Would you recommend it happens at this point?
Yeah, streamlining your portfolio, moving your money from, large collection to a select few, and that too thoughtfully. It doesn't matter. You should do it. Only thing you should be conscious of that, the tax implication. There will be a tax implication for investments that you have accumulated or bought in the last 1 year. Any gains on those investments will be taxable. So just plan your exit from such investments which you have accumulated over the last 1 year in a manner that you are able to, if there is no gains there, you can well move that money as well. If there is any gain, maybe plan your exit. But looking at his, collection of 16 funds, it's a reasonably impressive selection.
So there is a very long list of funds, and they all seem very impressive. I'm not going to go through the list because it's so long right now. I want you to just break it down and give him 5 funds that he can actually use to go forward. So off his list of really good funds, pick 5 of the best.
If I have to bring down his, diversified equity fund to just 5 of them, I would choose Canara Robeco Diversified Equity, UTI Equity Opportunity Fund, SBI Emerging Business, ICICI Prudential Dynamic, and DST BlackRock Equity Fund. And for all his tax-saving fund, I would like him to consolidate his money, move that money as and when it gets out of the lock-in period, and consolidate all of it into quantum tax-saving fund. And that's the reason why I haven't chosen the quantum long-term equity fund as part of his core portfolio, because both the portfolio, the tax-saving fund and the long-term equity fund, the portfolio is the same and performance is, almost similar.
All right, so on your screen right now are a list of funds that Narendra has drawn up for you. And remember, he said you don't have to worry about where the market is. It's always a good time to streamline your portfolio. Narendra, thank you so much for spending time with us this week and answering all of our questions. Remember, if you have a question for Narendra or any of our other experts, you can write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Now, coming up after the break, the Managing Director of CIBIL, the Credit Information Bureau, will be in the studio. We'll be asking him questions about how we can improve our credit scores and how we can remove errors from our credit scores. More importantly, don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Investors Guide on ET Now. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, like I promised, Arun Tukral, Managing Director of CIBIL, the Credit Information Bureau of India, joins us now to answer all of the questions you sent in on your credit reports. Arun, thank you so much for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And as always, every time we tell our viewers that you're going to be in the studio, we get a flurry of questions. And we've picked out questions that represent the larger group. And I'm going to get straight to it so we don't waste any time on the show. Tajinder Singh has written in. He tells us he moved his home last year and the bank didn't have his contact details and he didn't pay a bill that was outstanding for nearly a year. And now that he's paid the bill, he found out his credit score is 652. And he would like to now, in a month or two, take a home loan. He wants to know, is 652 by definition a low score? And will that come in the way of taking a home loan?
It is a low score because today what the trend we are looking at and our data gives us an insight that people only with a score of 750 or 800 are being considered. And last year, if you look at the data, most of the loans which have been dispersed, actually in certain home loans, 80% of the loans which have been dispersed have been given to people who have a score of 800 and 800 plus. So obviously it's low, and I would not advise him to go ahead and look for a home loan as on date. He should try and build his credit history, improve his score, because score is a dynamic number. It's something which can be impacted negatively or positively depending on your credit behavior. So if you start gradually paying all your bills and all your EMIs and all your credit card bills, then gradually your score will keep moving, and once the score is at a certain threshold, only then he should be going for another loan.
So, is there more weightage than, on secured loans or credit cards?
Absolutely. So ideally, when you are taking loans, you should have a mix. You shouldn't have 10 credit cards for the example. But if you have a credit card or 2 credit cards, but you also have a score, a secured loan like a housing loan or an automobile loan, it will have a different impact.
All right. Let's take another question. Bala has written in. He applied for a home loan of 15 lakh rupees, he says, from a nationalized bank. Then he had a problem with the builder, so he cancelled that loan after the application was done. 2 days later, the bank asked him to pay 12,500 rupees as charges on that application, which he didn't want to pay. But he wants to know, if he doesn't pay that money, will it in any way affect his credit score?
The way I understand the bank works is normally they take upfront processing fee as straight away. But as they didn't take it earlier, because they must be thinking that they will take it together. But definitely he needs to pay that, because when they report to the though if he has not taken any loan, so that definitely is not going to be part of the report going forward. But what I would suggest is that he takes CIR report from CIBIL, which would also give him a score, and look at it, and then go back to the bank. Because today, if your credit history is good and your score is good, you can actually go back to the bank and negotiate and convince them that they should not be charging the processing fee, and if they actually in future I'm going to take a loan, so just to retain you as a customer because you're a good customer, they might consider it differently.
Right, Bala, the other thing that you can do, of course, is, like Arun was telling us, talk to the bank and tell them that you are in the market to buy a home eventually, so they can actually keep that application open for you for about 6 months. It can be renewed every 6 months, so then you don't have to have that problem of having to pay for a loan that you never took. We have another question from Chandrasekhar, who's been using 5 credit cards and has defaults on all of them because he lost his job in 2008. He tells us he couldn't pay the outstanding amount because he lost his job. But he got his new job. He took the final settlement, but he only settled with the bank, so he didn't pay all of those dues. He now wants to apply for a home loan, and of course his score is about 518, which I'm assuming then in your book is very difficult to get a home loan.
Yeah, I think that will be a very big challenge as of today. But definitely going forward, as I said, you can repair your, actually improve your credit history going forward, and but as of today, I think it will be a big challenge for him to look at home loans. But as I said, different banks have different parameters, different yardsticks if his income is very high, because they will look at his income plus the CIR and the score.
There are two options the bank gives you on an outstanding credit card loan, which is you either settle and we arrive at some sort of agreement, or you pay the entire amount. Now, for someone like him who settled a part payment of that, it will still reflect as such.
Oh, absolutely. There are two columns. If there's anything, let's say somebody owes the bank 100 rupees, for example, he pays 50, which is settled, and 50 is written off because he has not paid that. So there is a field in the report which will say 50 rupees settled and 50 rupees written off. So that will definitely impact his history. And the way a bank would look at it, again, it varies from bank to bank, but definitely they will look at it. So as I said, even this incident becomes older in history and it becomes vintage, then the bank would look at it differently, because going forward, if he's paying his bills very regularly, his credit card bills, or if he's paying his EMIs regularly, his credit behavior and credit history will show that. Second, his score will start going gradually up, and that's where the bank will take a call.
Would you recommend that for someone like Chandrasekhar, he should go back to the bank and make the full payment at this point?
Well,
or should he move forward and start improving his score?
No, absolutely. That should also be done. But if he can actually go and clean his record, then definitely that will impact his credit behavior, credit score very differently.
Of course, like we keep telling people on this show, not more than one credit card, perhaps two. There's no need.
Yeah, maximum, because I really don't think so, because it also tells you that you're always trying to look for credit. So ideally, credit card is a facility which you should use sparingly, because that's for something when you really actually are stuck somewhere, or you want to buy something and you're not carrying that kind of cash. But you should also definitely pay your bill the moment it comes.
What is the average time it takes possible to address a problem that's coming on an error?
Well, as a CIC Act, which is the Credit Information Company Regulation Act, it gives you a window of 30 days for the bank to be able to address that issue and come back to us, and we will update that data the moment we get it. So it gives you a window of 1 month, and we take it up with the bank and try and clear it and settle it much earlier. But at times, depends on how complicated the case is, but we have a window of 1 month.
And the reports are updated every month. So if there is a problem that I've come to you with, I should expect it to reflect in my report by the next update.
Absolutely, actually. That's why we say if you are able to take your reports on a quarterly basis, you should actually look at them and also your score and monitor it. Because if you're doing that, you're looking at the same picture what a bank will look when you apply for a loan. So if you are on the same page, I personally think you're getting a loan whenever you want or whenever you need should never be a challenge.
And if I want to take a look at my own credit report, I just have to write to you here?
You just go on the website again, and there's a form, and we have an ID authentication which is online. So once you do that, and you've already transferred the money by debit card, credit card, or net banking, we will email you the report.
If you have a problem with your credit report, you can write to CIBIL. That's on your screen right now. That's the address at which you can get in touch with them. And on their website, you can ask for a copy of your own report. And like Mr. Tukral was recommending, take a look at it at least once a quarter, definitely once a year, and most definitely before you apply for a loan.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
but if you monitor it on a regular basis, then that's also not required.
All right, then that's also not required. We've run out of time. So thank you so much for coming in. If you have questions about your credit report, write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. And we'll have Mr. Tukral come back again and do a follow-up episode with us so he can answer more of your questions. Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you so much for watching.